business to, we have a little bit of business to attend to. Let's see if I can get this going. All right. We worked yesterday, Holly, on you showing your screen, but we didn't work on me showing my screen.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Look up here. I see share. I know that's so funny. And we have 13 participants, counting myself. I think that's a great number. And
Yes.
let's, I have to get Rick in here. Video. Nope. I see share. If I just hit it. Okay. Make sure I'm in the right one.
Yeah, it's showing.
All right. Now I'm get ready to get it going here.
Good idea.
So welcome everyone. And I guess it was a good time to have an online meeting. A lot of us are Texas members are at home because of all the sleet and snow. I would say snow, but it sounds like sleet and ice. So we appreciate you turning in, and thanks to some new friends turning in. I saw Dan and I saw Linda Freeman. I Linda, where are you visiting from?
I'm with the Temecula Valley Rose Society in Southern California.
Awesome. So you're a friend of our speaker, right?
No, I don't think I know
No?
your speaker.
Oh, awesome. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. Did you find us on Facebook?
I did.
Awesome. Okay, well, good. We're excited to talk about and hear about the differences about and Holly's adventures in gardening in California and Texas. So, welcome, Holly. Thank you so much for putting this talk together and for joining us this evening.
Thank
Um,
you.
we have a few events coming up. We're going to have an open garden. So that will probably take place for our April meeting. So, hey, Holly, you can just come up and hang out too. There's plant sale for the Denton County Master Gardeners, and that's April 25th. That's the day before the open gardens. That might be a little crazy planning the two, but we'd love to have y'all come visit the garden. The Heritage Rose Foundation, we've discussed a little bit at previous meetings. They're having their conference May 1st through the 3rd in Tyler, Texas. Um, there's save the date and more information will be upcoming. May 1st will be an evening event at the hotel, and the second will be events in the Rose Gardens at Tyler with speaks that afternoon at the Rose Center. And then on the 3rd, there will be a bus available to take participants to Shreveport, which is about a little, maybe a little less, around an hour and a half away from Tyler, to see the American Rose Center gardens. That should be just looking great at that time. And we'll have some speakers at the center there. Some of our speakers, our featured speaker is Dee Nash of Red Dirt Ramblings and the Garden Angelus podcast. And she, so you can look up her information and please tune in to their podcasts. She's an advocate for roses and for gardens and easy care gardening. Also, we'll have, I'm trying to think who else is speaking. We'll have, I can have some help. Pam, you want to
Sure.
speak some more
Uh,
about our speakers?
so on Friday, we have a tour of the operation at Certified Roses there in Tyler. They're a major grower of roses for the country. Then Friday night, Greg Grant, one of the Texas Rose Rustlers, will be our speaker at the banquet. On Saturday, we have Shauna Moore, who's the horticulturist of Brooklyn Botanic Gardens, talking about the collection of old garden roses there. Andrew Baraka, who was a hybridizer at the Antique Rose Emporium is going to speak to us. And then Dee, on Sunday, will participate in the International Rose Trial judging. We will be greeted by the Herb Society there. We have Peggy Martin will be talking about the other roses besides Peggy Martin in her garden. And Claude will talk about the Save the Ramblers initiative, and the Ramblers should be in good bloom the first week of May. So um, I think a good variety of I think of topics interesting to both the veteran gardener as well as the beginning gardener.
Well, excellent. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Pam or
There's a
not?
chance it'll be online by Sunday.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
In our
Well,
hotel, we have a hotel there, the Holiday Inn, and we'll have the information on that. But we got a really good rate on that room as well.
excellent. Well, thank you, Pam.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll go ahead and continue. Well, we'll continue to introducing our speaker this evening. Welcome again to Holly. I was talking to her about her bio, and I said, "Oh, that can be part of my intro here." Holly moved during COVID to the Hill Country. She has family in that area, and she is originally from that area. I'm trying to, and but she got bitten by the rose bug when she was living in Los Angeles, California. And so roses became her passion while she pursued a career in the film industry. And during COVID, she moved back to Texas, where she was born and raised, and she now grows over 100+ roses. And the Hill Country is known for its rocky soil and some challenging conditions. She is mostly retired from the film industry and is now able to devote more time to her roses and volunteers with several rose groups. So thank you again for including us in your group that you're volunteering with. So recently, though, she was shocked and thrilled to be awarded a Master Rosarian Award at the South Central District Rose Convention. So yay,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And thank
Yeah,
you
I
this
think
evening.
they must have made a mistake, but I'll take it.
Now you know you do it long enough. There you go. You're good. You're good. So
So
thank you.
thank you for that. Let me get my presentation up here and start. Let me say share, and then I'll switch on to play the slide.
I stopped my share. I think I got it.
Okay. Let's see. Why is it? Maybe.
Mine was pretty. I'll
Let
double
me
check.
say. Let me hold on one
It
second.
says multiple can share. So if you go ahead and hit the green share button, that's what did work for me.
I did. And
Hi, Pat. I see that
Yeah,
you just joined us.
that's right. We had some Pat Everett's joined us, so
so that didn't work that time. You don't see my screen, right?
not this time.
Huh.
I don't want to share. I'm gonna exit out of that.
Do you
There
see
it
it now?
There, we see it
Okay,
now, so you can
great.
go ahead and start your slides.
Okie dokie. Okay, so you guys can see that, right?
No, it went away.
Oh, you're kidding.
So
Hold on, because it just showed me that. Let's try this again. Okay, you can see my master thing, correct?
Yeah, we can see your screen. We can see your
Okay.
screen.
And now can you see it?
It went away again. So maybe
Oh,
you just can do your screen
okay,
the
hold
other
on.
way. There, your
So
screen is sharing.
let me go in and change something real fast. So um we'll do that. And then so it didn't work yet the way we thought it was going to.
We'll get there.
Um let's see. So let me take this back down. So now you guys can primarily see that slide, right?
That's correct. We can see your slide.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess this is going to have to do. So I apologize about that. We did test this yesterday and it worked fine. So who knows? Anyway, this is going to be a super informal talk. And I'm just going to tell you some stories about my adventures with roses, how I got started, um, where I'm at, some of the stories along the way and where I'm at today. So, uh-oh, hold on. I am going to have to go back to the navigator because it's not going to play on the next
That's
slide.
fine. We'll
Okay.
figure it out. It's okay.
Okay. So, I was living in Los Angeles in an apartment that was like a duplex type apartment, and I had a little plot of land about 8 feet by 8 feet, and I wanted to grow something. And I had been a little bit of a gardener in college and after college, and it was winter in Los Angeles, which is not terrible. And I saw that there was going to be a rose show over in Altadena. So I told my neighbor, let's go to this rose show. It was January. Little did I know that we were going to walk into the rose show and there was going to be no roses. It was more of a bunch of vendors selling rose related items and bare root roses. And so we were both very disappointed because we knew nothing about roses at the time. And my friend, we got these little door prize tickets, and my friend won a bag of fertilizer. And I was so mad that she won the bag of fertilizer and I hadn't won anything. And I was walking around and I was like, God, I can't believe she won that bag of fertilizer. And it was my idea to come here. And all of a sudden they called my ticket number. And I ran over to the booth to see what I had won. And they told me I had won a bare root rose bush. And they said, which one would you like? We have this purple one, we have this yellow one, and we have this pink one. Well, pink is my favorite color. But I told the guy, well, I'm from Texas. And if I took anything but a yellow rose, I think I would be crucified by all my friends and family back home. So I won New Day. And this is one of my blooms of New Day. And I took it back home. I went to Armstrong Garden Centers and I bought a wine barrel, a half a wine barrel, one of the wooden ones, not one of the plastic ones. And I bought this super expensive rose soil. I don't even remember what it was. And I took it home and I planted that. And every day I would come home from work and I would start to see the little bud eyes starting to emerge. And then all of a sudden it became this plant with leaves on it. And I couldn't believe it. And then all of a sudden it had these buds. And then all of a sudden it had all of these yellow blooms all over it. And I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I was hooked. So I got bitten by the rosebug then. And after a few years after that, I moved to Ventura. And I decided, I want to join one of the rose societies and be around all these rose people so I have some other people to talk roses with. So I joined the Ventura County Rose Society, met 30 minutes south of me, and the Santa Barbara Rose Society met 30 minutes north of me. But we were going into Santa Barbara a lot more often. So I joined the Santa Barbara Rose Society first. I did eventually join the Ventura County Rose Society. But this is a picture of the mission in Santa Barbara with some of the roses from their rose garden. Um, and it was an amazing garden at the time. And I don't have a better picture of it, but down towards the front of the garden, they had these extensive garden beds that were full of roses, and they had a lot of old garden roses in it. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. But at the time, it was really, really beautiful. And while I was in the Santa Barbara Rose Society, I met some really influential people to me, and I think that some of them are also very influential on the national front. And one of them was Dan Bufano, and he's the gentleman on the left with the green ribbon, and he's known as Oprah's Rose Man. And he used to go on to Oprah's Rose Show, onto her show often to talk about her roses. And he also does Barbara Streisand's roses. And so he helped Barbara Streisand bring Barbara's Baby to market. Then in the middle is my friend Hetty Shirtliff, and she is the person that I became really good friends with in the Santa Barbara Rose Society. And she kind of became my, as we call each other, my rose enabler. And whenever one of us would be, I don't know if I should buy this rose or not, the other one would talk that person into it. So, and then on the far right is Bud Jones. And these are the three people that ended up nominating me to become a consulting rosarian. And I just wanted to pay an homage to them, and they're really lovely people, and I miss them terribly. Here we are in the Rose Garden at the Santa Barbara Mission on pruning day, and we had some really great people there and some real characters. And one of those characters was, I'm sure you guys know about Bragg's amino acids and Bragg's apple cider organic vinegar. And this is Patricia Bragg. She's now since passed away, but she was the owner of that company, and she was such a character. And she would come to our meetings, and she would come to pruning day, and she would make sure she got her picture taken. And she always had that hat on with the roses. And then she and her assistant would mosey on off after she got her picture taken and got to say hello to a few people. But anyway, it was very, very fun and very interesting. While I was a member of the Santa Barbara Rose Society, I was at one of the meetings, and I still was learning so much about roses, and I didn't know. I mean, I knew the difference between all the different types of roses and everything, but I wasn't really into old garden roses. And I knew that there was a woman in one of the members that was really into old garden roses. And she called me over one day at one of the meetings, like this, literally, come here. And so I walked over and I said, yes. And she said, do you grow any old garden roses? And I said, no, not really. And she said, well, I want you to start growing some old garden roses. And I said, oh, okay. And that person was Jerry Jennings. And so she sucked me into the old garden roses. And once I got sucked in, I haven't gone back. I mean, I do grow all sorts of roses, but my love is old garden roses. And this is a picture of Jerry at the celebration of old roses in El Cerrito, promoting the Heritage Roses group. And so once I started to learn about the old garden roses, then I started noticing them around me a lot. And I was at a restaurant one day, and I was walking out to the parking lot, and I looked up. I didn't pay attention when I first got to the restaurant. And this is the site that was in front of me, the hedge of Mademoiselle Cecile Brunner, this amazing hedge growing at the edge of this parking lot. It was just amazing. So while Jerry Jennings and her husband Clay, they would go to the old Sacramento City Cemetery a lot, to the Rose Garden there. And I had gone up there as well several times, excuse me. And I had met Anita Clevenger and quite a few people up in Sacramento. And while I was there at one of the open gardens that they were having, Anita told me about this rose that Cass Bernstein had found called Tamalpais Homestead Tea. And I was like, oh my God, that's such a beautiful rose. If it ever comes up for sale, I want to get it. And so I had to go work on a movie in South Africa. And while I was gone working on the movie in South Africa, that rose did come up for sale as a silent auction in Sacramento. And Anita remembered that. And she emailed me and said, do you want me to bid on this rose for you? And I said, absolutely, I do. And so I gave her a limit. And this is a picture of Tamalpais Homestead Tea. And to this day, it's just, I think, one of the most beautiful roses I've ever seen. And it's lightly fragrant with a tea fragrance. It has more hybrid tea characteristics to me than it does tea characteristics, although the leaves and everything are very characteristic of a tea. But it likes to be cut back. And I found that to be really odd. Anyway, she bid on the rose for me. And there was someone else who really wanted that rose. And so she had to go up to my limit. And the other person was really, really bummed that they didn't win it. But I won it, or Anita won it for me. And she held it at her house for like 6 months for me until I got back from South Africa. And this is it growing in my garden in Ventura. And this is a bouquet of it taken off of my bush. This is not the best picture here, but this is my bush. This is about, I would say 12 feet wide and probably about 10 or 11 feet tall. And it was just always covered in blooms. It was a really, really happy rose. These are some of the other roses that I was growing in Ventura. And right here in front, you can see Souvenir del Malmaison. And then the dark pink one is Grandmother's Hat. And one of the lighter ones is Tina Marie. It might be Tina Marie. It might be Larry Daniels. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference, but those are both sports of Grandmother's Hat. And these are just some of my favorite roses. And this is what my dining room table looks like when it's rose growing season all the time. It's always a mess. There's always scattered rose petals around, and I've always got several projects going on. And you can see there's dying roses there in the middle and fresh roses in some of the places, but I'm kind of a mess. A beautiful mess is what I like to say. More of Souvenir de Malmaison. So I started kind of toying with exhibiting roses, and this was my mine was on the left, and I don't think that's mine on the right. Anyway, so I've won first or second place a couple of times. I don't exhibit that much. I'm trying to get more into it. Let's see. So this is a picture of the celebration of old roses that they have up in El Cerrito I had mentioned earlier. And I would love for us to be able to get something like this going down here in Texas, but it is one of the best events I've ever been to in my whole life. And so they have this hall, and the tables, you can see the tables over to the far right and the tables over to the far left. They have vendors at those tables, and then there's a courtyard, and they would have vendors outside in the courtyard and also out in the front of the entrance. And they have all the volunteers come early in the morning. Everybody goes to their respective gardens on Saturday, and cuts blooms to bring. And then everybody just shows up at like 9 a.m. and starts putting blooms in the vases and making arrangements. And so this is everybody prepping to get ready for it. And then they categorize the roses by hybrid perpetuals, gallicas, damasks, hybrid teas, floribundas, mystery roses, etc. And everybody puts the blooms, they're all labeled, and you put the blooms in clear glass vases to get ready for the public to come in. And It's just this long U-shaped table filled with roses that are just old garden roses that are just absolutely beautiful. There are a few David Austins there, and there are a few modern hybrid teas there, but for the most part, it's all old roses. And here's some more pictures of the tables, and it smells amazing, you guys. It's just the smell in there is wonderful. It's like being in heaven. And Miriam Wilkins is the woman who started it, and this is a picture of her. She passed away quite a few years ago now, but she had this, I don't know if you can see it very well, but that vase is an antique vase. And so she always made an arrangement for the celebration of old roses, of her roses in that vase. And so she passed that vase on to the South Bay Heritage Roses Group so that they could make arrangements in that vase and show it to everyone. And I used to grow the rose that was named after her, but unfortunately it died. It died here in Texas. I don't think it liked the heat. Here's another picture. This is, I think, does that say tea roses? Yeah, tea roses. So they opened the doors at about, I think around 11:30 or so. And the public can come in until about 3. And they have raffles and door prizes. And as I mentioned, they have these vendors. But at the end of the celebration, at the end of the day, they a lot of the public will come and look at the roses and decide, oh, I love this rose or that rose. And then they come back and all the stems are sold for 25 cents a stem to raise money. And so a lot of people will take the roses that they fell in love with home, and they'll try to root them, or they'll just keep them in a vase at home and enjoy them for the next few days. This is Jerry Jennings' husband, Clay, and I wanted to show this picture because they used to always have Dalmatians, and this little boy was there. He came with his mom to look at the roses, but he fell in love with the dogs. And I just love that there's, we're trying to get little rosarians started at a young age. Just some more beautiful roses. And this is not the most flattering picture of this vendor, but here's an example of some of the vendors that were there. So they always had it on the Sunday after Mother's Day weekend. So it's 1 week after Mother's Day. So after, not after, sorry. So up in north of San Francisco, in Petaluma, is where Greg Lowry has Vintage Roses, or the Friends of Vintage Roses collection now. And so I was able to volunteer a few times and go up to what they call their dirt days, which is where they have volunteers come in and help work with the garden. And this is a picture that I took on my way to dirt days one early morning, and I just thought the vineyards were just beautiful. And so there's Greg. We went to Greg's house, and this is a picture of the gardens. So one of the days that I was there, the blackberries have had taken over the gardens pretty badly. And so we spent about 3 or 4 hours clearing the blackberries out of the gardens. And I'm telling you, we had piles and piles and piles and piles of blackberry branches that we had to eradicate as best we could. But I would love to see, I have never had the opportunity to see his garden in bloom, in full bloom, and I would love to have that opportunity someday. And I had taken my dogs with me, and here they are christening Greg's plants out on his patio. And when I had gone up to the celebration of old roses, I had gone with Jerry, who is the lady to my right, the second from the left. And we went to San Juan Bautista Cemetery along with Diane, I can't remember her last name, and Kim Rupert over to the right, and Jill Perry, to look at, I think we're standing in front of Jessie Hildreth here, if I'm not mistaken, the old Rose Jessie Hildreth. And then we went to look at some buildings close to the cemetery there. And this is an old boarding house. And they had a rose. Oh, where did that rose go? Oh no. Well, they had an unknown pink rose growing in the back of the boarding house that we all went and investigated. And then in the little town of San Juan Bautista, they had several other old roses growing that we thought one was a autumn damask, and another one we think is another variation of grandmother's hat. And so I just want to illustrate how amazing the rose culture is going up and down the coast in California and seeing all the different found roses. And we get to do that here in Texas too. And that's, I think if you can't be in California, the second best place to be is in Texas for finding old roses. This is my friend Hetty, and we're at the Huntington Gardens. We were very fortunate to be able to go to the Huntington Gardens and see all those beautiful roses and go to the Rosarians of the World conventions, or that's not the right word, symposiums that they had there a few times. Whoops. Hang on, that's out of order. Here's some more of the roses at the Huntington Gardens. And this was taken when Tom Caruth had taken over from Claire Martin. So I think he had probably been the curator for about a year or two, probably two, when we took these pictures. And then I wanted to show you guys this bouquet. This was a bouquet that my friend Hetty, that I just showed you a picture of, had made with things out of her garden. This was all things out of Hetty's garden. And she's a member of a floral arranging club in Santa Barbara called Las Florealis. And they meet once a month and do different floral arrangements. And she does this for fun. This is her hobby. And so I was the very lucky and fortunate recipient to get these on occasion from her. And whenever she and I would meet for lunch, we always took each other little bouquets. And this was not a lunch bouquet. This was a birthday bouquet here. So it's just gorgeous. And to think that that's all out of her garden. I think she grows about 250 roses on a hillside acre overlooking the Bay of Santa Barbara. It's pretty amazing. And here we are. This is her little shed that houses her washer and dryer. And this is Lamarck. This is Lamarck growing over her shed. Unfortunately, that rose is no longer there. Her irrigation system got messed up, and she didn't realize it until it was too late, but it didn't get any water for a really long time and it died. But isn't that a gorgeous specimen? So I was really lucky that I lived near Otto and Sons and quite a few other places, Rose Nursery. And here's a picture of pulling up to Otto and Sons. And they had acres and acres. The display area was about 1 acre, but they also had fields and fields of roses that they had as their backstock for when they had to replenish their display gardens. They've now since planted a really beautiful rose garden on about 1 acre. But before that, they just had these roses in 5-gallon pots. They had them all displayed alphabetically and according to type. But they used to have an open garden where you could go and walk the fields of the roses that they had. So you could go and walk. Oh, it was amazing. About 10 acres of roses. And it was very hard. You'd be running around, oh, I want this one. And you would look at the different roses that looked really good to you, which shrub you wanted and which shrub you didn't want. And you would grab it. And then you realize, well, I'm standing out that's like 100 yards away from how I'm going to get this back to where the golf cart is to take me back up to the front. So you had to edit your rose choices sometimes, or you had to talk somebody into letting you borrow the golf cart to go pick up all your roses on the side of the road.
Hey, Holly,
Yes.
you know that before Thanksgiving, they open up and they let people go cut flowers out of their stock so that they can take them home for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, Scott and Cindy are so awesome.
They are very, very nice people.
Yes.
I lived about 40 minutes from there, and it's a good thing it was 40 minutes and not closer, because I think I would have spent way too much money there. And Rose Story Farm, I also lived about 30 minutes, not even 30 minutes from Rose Story Farm, but she didn't have it open as often to the public. You had to usually do a private tour that you had to pay for. But these are some of her bouquets that she had selling at stores up in Montecito and Santa Barbara that Danny Hahn would sell. And she has a beautiful, beautiful farm. So one day, the Santa Barbara Rose Society got a message from a gentleman who said that he was the caretaker of an estate that his boss had just bought, and that the lady that used to live there, who had passed away, had quite a bit of roses, and that they were going to raise the house and the grounds. And did the Santa Barbara Rose Society want to come and take some of the roses to save them? And we said, oh yeah, we sure would. Thank you. And so we went there. The lady's name was Mrs. Green, that had passed away, and Jerry Jennings had known her. And she had, I would say, probably about 350 roses. This is part of her house. The gardens were completely overgrown and a little bit derelict when we got there. The house was vacant when we got there, and you can see the railing is falling apart, and some things were in pretty shabby shape. But I couldn't believe that they were going to tear the house down, because the house wasn't in such bad shape that it couldn't be easily renovated. But they had a McMansion that they were, a literal McMansion that they were going to build, and they had ideas for a swimming pool and tennis courts and such. And so they didn't want all these gardens to be there. But every single one of those shrubs that you see in that picture are different roses, and the picture doesn't really explain it very well. Here's another picture. This was her fountain. So we're standing now at let me go back. So this is a driveway. And so to your left was, if you were standing at the driveway, kind of to the left is your house. To the right is where that fountain is. And so if you kind of walked over, it's all on a hillside. If you walked over, you're standing at the top of these stairs to go down into this to this garden around this fountain. And then to the right of this picture is a small strip of more roses. And then to the left of this picture is a very large garden area. And that building over in the far left corner is the guest house. So she had this garden categorized. We figured out from looking at the roses, there were still some roses that were in bloom. But we had figured out that she had all of her oldest roses down at the bottom of the hill below that fountain. And then she had categorized them by age. And so as you went up the hill over into that garden to my left, they would become newer and newer. So down at the very bottom were more like species type roses and very old roses. And then once you got up to where that driveway was, you started to come into a lot of David Austin roses. And I think that this lady passed away in about 2007 or 2008. And I think this house had sat vacant for quite a few years before her heirs sold it to this man who called us his boss. So we there was about 8 of us, and we kind of ran around and assessed everything and tried to figure out what we could take. And the guy told us we could only come that one day, that we couldn't come back. And he said that his boss already felt uncomfortable with us running around there because we hadn't signed waivers to release them of any liability if anything happened to us. But we started digging, and everybody took home about 3 roses, but I talked the guy into letting me come back. And I probably ended up getting about 8 or 10 roses. Here I am. I've just dug up that rose, and you can see some of her gardens behind me. It was just beautiful. Here I am digging. This is down at the bottom of this. Now we're at below the fountain, and the big fountain, the pool fountain, and this is another fountain in the driveway of that guest house that I mentioned. And I asked the guy, I said, well, what are you going to do with all these fountains? Because there were other fountains around the property, smaller ones and bigger ones. And he said, I don't know. My boss is trying to, decide what to do. And so I left him my phone number, and I said, if he wants to sell any of these fountains, I'd love to come back and buy one. But they never called us back, unfortunately. And I was able to take this. He said it was going to get thrown away. So I was able to take this off of the front porch of Mrs. Green's house. So I just love this because it reminds me of Mrs. Green and that wonderful rose adventure that we had there. And I still have about 4 or 5 of her roses. Some of them I gave away, and some of them didn't make the trip to Texas very well. So this is back at my house in Ventura. And this is, I had done a hedge of Grandmother's Hat, Larry Daniels, Tina Marie, and Snowbird. And this is my grandmother's hat. And this and Snowbird are probably 2 of my 2 favorite roses. Isn't that amazing? And this is my Snowbird. And then here's a picture of the hedge. And these are just some other roses. Whenever we would get together for the Santa Barbara Rose Society, we would have a rose show and tell. And so everybody would cut as many blooms as they could and bring them in and have our own like little baby celebration of roses. And here's my backyard. So I had this small patch of grass that was about 20 feet by 20 feet. And it was all rimmed with roses all the way around it. And also you can see my orange tree, and I had a lemon tree because you have to have citrus if you live in California. But I loved the romantic idea of living in this cottage by the California coast with my roses and my lemons, and putting my fresh sheets out to dry in the sun with my roses fragrancing the air. And I still love that romantic idea. And I try to do it here in the hill country, but somehow or another, it doesn't have the same charm as it did there. And that yellow rose is New Day. We still have New Day with us. I will always have New Day. And this rose here in the far left corner is a rose called Summer's Kiss, which is known in Europe and France as Paul Ricard. It has an anise type scent to it. And you can't get it commercially here in the United States anymore. And I just love that rose. Unfortunately, it died, but I know someone who has it still. And I'm hoping to get cuttings again this spring. It's not an old rose, but it's a lovely rose. And I think just above it, the one with the petal going straight up is Madam Carolyn. I don't know how to say her last name. Testu. Does anybody know how to say that correctly? No? Okay. Just some more little beauties. This was my pot ghetto. And it always looked like this. In fact, this is a nice cleaned up day. And I had on both sides of my driveway, I had tons of roses and pots. You couldn't park far up into my driveway because of all the roses. And that big shrub on the left is Mrs. B.R. Camp, which is also one of my favorite roses. I love the scent on it. And I have her here in the ground, and she's pretty happy. I did cover her with a big black plastic pot with a towel over it for the freeze, and she did great. I just pulled it off today and looked at her, and she was doing great. So when I moved, I did two things. I bare rooted half my roses and sent them to my sister-in-law, and she potted them up. She and her husband potted them up. And then the other half of my roses and plants, I got the biggest U-Haul trailer you could rent, and this is it full. I mean, full. There is not any more room to put anything. And these guys even stacked some of the roses very carefully on top of other plants and roses. And this was my mow and blow guy, Enrique, on the left. He was great, and his son, and they helped me come and move the rest of these roses and get loaded up. So I drove from California to Texas. I left on June 30th, and it was unfortunately during a heat wave, and I was so worried about these roses going across the desert. And when I stopped at a hotel in the desert to spend the night, I told them I had to use their garden hose, and I pulled my trailer up next to their garden hose, and I watered the roses down that night, and I aired them out, and they were okay. They made it. There's a close up. There's my rig ready to go across the desert. I don't know if y'all can see it, but there's a Victorian plant stand on the top of my car there. I look like Ellie Mae and the Clampetts going down the highway. So these are the roses that I bare rooted and sent to my sister-in-law, and she very kindly potted them up for me. Unfortunately, it was one of the hottest summers on record right after I got here, and a lot of them perished in the heat, even though I was watering them twice a day. It just was the wrong time of year to do it. And then these are the ones that I brought with me in the trailer at my other friend's house. And most of these are the ones that made it through. And this is my current pot ghetto. And so you can see I'm surrounded by cedar and oaks. And these are some of my friends that I made over the years. Whoops. And here I am at the, oh my God, it just went out of my head. Where were we? Sherry?
Cloisters.
Thank
The
you.
Met, the
Thank you,
Met,
Pam. At the
yeah, the Met
cloisters.
cloisters.
Yeah. And I'm with Susan Scott, and she was, I had met her. She was the president of the Santa Barbara Rose Society when I first joined, and she had since moved to Florida. And so we both got to see each other up in New York, which was really great. So when I got to Texas, there wasn't a Heritage Roses group here in San Antonio. There was the Texas Rose Rustlers out of Houston, and there was the Dallas Area Historical Rose Society. but there was nobody here in San Antonio. And so I I I helped form this group, and this is us. This is at our very first meeting, and all of these people come pretty regularly, and we've been meeting now for Kathy. I guess it's been a year and a half, maybe. Um, and it's a great little group. But I like to say that my friend Hetty, she used to have a saying that she got from one of her floral arranging groups, that you come for the roses, but you stay for the friends. And I think nothing could be more true. And that's the thing that I love the most about my adventures, is all the wonderful friends that I've made over the years and how much they mean to me. And when I look at my roses out in my garden, I think about them, and I think about all my friends that I've made. And it's just, it really makes me happy. And last but not least, this is me. This is my self-portrait. And I remember when I had this picture taken, and it was one of the happiest days, and I was getting ready to go to a meeting, and I was gathering up all my roses. And that's it.
I'll give you some applause. Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. That was
Appreciate that
wonderful.
very much. Does anyone have any questions for Holly?
I think that was a great overview of California roses, since I live in Southern California, and it just brings back fond memories of the different gardens and everything that we have to see here, because California was a huge worldwide uh, exporter of roses.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah, I I still love the California rose lore.
Hmm.
But I have it here in Texas too. It's just taken me a while to get my garden going here, because when I first moved here, um, I was house hunting, and it took me, I had to leave to go work on a movie. So I was gone. So it took me over 2 years to find a house. And so I had all of those roses in containers at friends' houses. And I was having to go over to their house. During the summer, I had to go to each of those houses every day to water those roses. And I did consolidate them after the first year when I got back from doing my movie. And then I moved into this house. Then the minute I moved into this house, I got called away on another movie. So it's been a bit of a slow start here. But now that I'm mostly retired from the movie business, I have time on my hands to get my garden going again. But I love the history, back to what you were saying. I love the history of the California and the Texas roses, because I think they're both very similar. They follow similar parallels of the pioneers coming over, and of the Spanish and the Mexican influence coming up uh, through that way as well, with all the
Yeah, it's great.
missions and Father
I
Sparrow.
I live in a small town named Hammett, and Hammett had the Howard Rose Company here, and the roses were read by Rob Lindquist Sr., and they created the Tiffany Rose and the Granada Rose and 21 other roses. So I'm trying to collect some of those for my garden here, but a lot of them are not in commerce anymore. So
Yeah, I tried to get the Tiffany rose last year, and I think that Edmonds has it, if I'm not mistaken. But I wanted to grow that rose. I love that rose, and Granada is a beautiful rose too. And I think Granada is one of the parents of Century too, which was a great rose that I used to grow. But I can't find that rose anymore.
yeah, some of them are hard to find. So
Holly, what was that first rose that you said Anita bid for you?
Tamalpais Homestead Tea.
God, that is gorgeous. Do you have that in Texas?
I do. So that's a story that if you guys have a minute, I'll tell you. When I moved from that house, I sold that house to a couple that was starting their family. And they told me that they were gardeners and that they were rose gardeners. But before I sold the house, I had a friend who lived down in Del Mar, and she knew how much that rose meant to me. And you guys saw how big it had gotten. So Enrique came over one day, And my friend came up and she said she was going to take it home to her garden. So we cut the rose back heavily. We cut it back to 2 feet. And I
Wow.
know that sounds criminal to you guys, but I knew that Rose would handle it because I had cut it back so many times. It was really becoming Audrey, the house eating Rose. And so we cut it back and he dug it up. Enrique dug it up, and my friend took it down to her house and planted it. And it's flourishing down at her house. And I brought some cuttings with me and got them started, but that there was an ice storm. I have to protect it from the freeze, and there was an ice storm and it didn't make it. So I just got another baby plant of it. Kathy got me another baby plant of it. Who did you get that from, Kathy?
Was it from Burling?
No, it was from,
Oh, could have been from Rose Petals
yeah, it
because
was from
they
Rose Petals.
periodically have a lot of the older teas.
Yeah, it was from Rose Petals. And so I have it now, but it's a baby plant, Pam.
Oh gosh, that is just gorgeous.
There's another really beautiful picture of that rose that I'll email you after the presentation. That's the one that took my breath away. But a lot of people thought it could be Adam, but then they decided it wasn't Adam, and then they thought it could be Baron Henriette Dusnoy. I don't know if I said that right.
I know what you're talking about, but okay. Yeah.
And I grew those side by side. It's not the same rose.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
it's very similar, but it's not the same.
Okay.
But
Yeah, nice. Very nice. I mean, just beautiful plant.
it was beautiful.
Of course, it's way too big for my yard, but that makes me want it more.
Well, I have a baby plant of it, and as soon as it's big enough to take cuttings, I'll start you one.
If Rose Petals has it, I can see about Rose Petals too. I don't need a bigger rose. What am I doing? I'm nuts. I need to stay with small ones.
Pam, you'll just experiment and show everyone how it does when it's prune hard.
Really? Okay. All right. I can do that.
The rose,
We'll have a
one
little
of the
more
roses,
grass to come out.
one of the roses that's doing really well for me here is Snowbird. I did bring Snowbird with me, and it's very happy in the heat. And I knew it would be with my experience with it. And it loves the heat.
Okay. Very good. Oh, I like you. Listening to your talk, it is about the people. It's about who you were with when you see that rose and where you grow that rose, and who you're with yeah. So walking through the garden just brings me, I think, as much joy as it does you, just from the people aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the best part of it.
Yes.
I also loved your pictures of your trailer and your plants because I went through a similar situation about 7 years ago after my husband passed and I downsized and I had about 150 plants at my old house and I dug up some and I left them at my neighbor's house for 6 months, went back every week and watered them. And then finally, once I was settled, had them all hauled to my house. So I can totally understand the trailering of favorite plants.
Thank you, because I think a lot of people thought I was crazy. If they're not a rose person or a plant person, they just don't understand.
Yeah, no kidding.
Any question?
I was looking at the comments, and Linda had written to come visit the Temecula Valley Rose Society's Rose Haven Heritage Garden if you're in Southern California. And they're a 3-acre private garden open to the public, and they have a Hall of Fame garden and an old gold garden rose area. They're 65 miles north of San Diego, and the World Federation of Roses are having a conference there in 2027.
Oh, cool. In 2027.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Road trip.
A road trip.
everyone can start planning for that trip also.
So I'm sure they'll have lots of activities planned. And, Tom Caruth is still the curator of roses at the Huntington. And the Huntington isn't that far away from San Diego. So I'm sure he'll be on the program. And I'm sure they'll have lots of fun activities. So.
You can have a constituent group of Texas people and, well, others.
Yeah, roses grow
You can-
everywhere. It's
Absolutely.
yeah, I remember visiting with my friend the Omaha Arboretum, and I was there in October, and the entire rose garden there had been pummeled from a hailstorm in the summer. And they were doing a huge fundraiser trying to, find roses and rebuild it. So wherever you go, you're going to be bonding with rose growers. I mean, their eyes will light up as soon as you said, and also master gardeners, same thing. As soon as you start talking
Yes,
about gardening, you have this immediate bonding. So
absolutely. Does it,
Absolutely.
does anyone else have a question for Holly? You can unmute and ask your
I have a
question or
question. I would like to know what roses you still grow that you got from Mrs. Green's garden.
So, um, there's a rose that none of us were able to identify that's right outside my back door. That's a pink rose, that I got from her garden. There's a moss rose that I got from her, a once blooming moss rose that I got from her garden that's growing very happily here in Texas, I might add, which I was very surprised about. Um, and my sister-in-law, the one who had potted up all of those roses for me, she wanted one of Mrs. Green's roses, so I gave her that rose. And she kept complaining about it. And she kept saying, I want to cut that rose back. And I was like, no, you can't cut that rose back. And I finally said, if you don't want that rose, I'll take it back. And so I took it back. Because she felt like it was it was too octopusy and it was getting too overgrown for her. And I was like, well, that's just the nature of this rose. I don't know what it is. When it blooms again, I'm going to try really hard to identify it. And then I have, I don't, I think one of them is, a David Austin Saint Cecilia, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's one super, super fragrant.
And yeah, it is. And then there's, I think it's Lady of Megich or Megidich.
Oh,
And I have that one.
you have that one?
Yeah.
I want that one.
Okay. I'll give you cuttings. And then
Good,
there's
good.
another one that looks like, and it might very well be Abraham Darby.
Okay.
That's a nice rose.
So unfortunately, my favorite little one didn't make the move. It succumbed to the heat.
Do you know what it was called?
Mm-mm. We could not. I had Jerry. Yeah, we were trying to identify these with Jerry Jennings, Hetty, and Bud Jones, and they weren't all in bloom when we first got them. So when they would bloom, I didn't necessarily get to take them to see if they could identify them.
are there any other questions? Did you look at any roses when you were in South Africa? I know you were working though.
I was working. I did get to see some, but not as many as I would have liked to have. Well, thank you guys for having me very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
I didn't
Holly.
bore you to tears.
thank you for a
No,
great
Girl,
overview.
not at all.
well, this
Well,
this was wonderful. Thank you.
It is
yeah,
very
and
wonderful.
feel free to post your Heritage Rose Group's information on the Dallas page so we can keep up with what's going on, and if we're in the area, get able to participate, or
Okay.
if it's online, I'd participate too.
Yeah, it's a great group of people. Kathy drives every meeting Kathy and Brad drive every meeting. We meet quarterly from Houston to San Antonio to join us, and we're so appreciative of that.
Well,
Well, I
that's
have
just
to say hi,
that's just
Malcolm.
No, thank you. I see Sydney joined us from Florida, so we're coast to coast here.
Mhm.
And Linda in California, and then Malcolm's up in Indiana.
That's
We
great.
a bunch of Texans. I guess, well, but we're in Arizona, so currently.
Malcolm's up there with a Florida picture behind him.
We didn't make too much. We didn't harass him too much.
Well, it's good to see everybody.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
The time is now 8:12. Thank you for joining us. It's good to see
Bye-bye.
your smiling faces.
Thanks a lot, Holly. It was
You're
wonderful.
welcome. Thank
I
you
know
for
there's
putting up with me.
Oh,
so
thank
we
you.
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you for coming. Thank you for presenting. It was awesome.
Great evening. Thank you.
Thank
It was
you.
good. Soon we'll survive the ice storm and be back in our gardens soon, right?
I hope
Right.
so.
So that will be
Let's
another
see what's
talk. Who's
left.
gonna do that one? My roses that survived the ice storm. Are you volunteering, Susan?
No, I was going to say we'll see what is still out there. All I
It'll be-
see now is snow and ice.
Linda,
Well,
what's the name of your Rose Society there in Temecula again?
The Temecula Valley Rose Society.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have a great web page, and we have a Facebook page for the Temecula Valley Rose Society, and we have a separate Facebook page for Rose Haven Heritage Garden.
Oh,
Can you
cool.
please post that information on the DAHRS page, and
Okay, I will
we'll
do that.
share that with anyone that in our area that sees that. I know Facebook tends to hurt us to what geographic areas we're in. So I love being able to find out about groups outside that area. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great. Great program. I'm lucky I just happened to be on Facebook. I was a program chair for 4 years, so I think I'm linked to every Rose group in the world, because I was looking for speakers, and fortunately I happened to look and find yours, and I'm very happy I attended. Thank you.
We might contact you for some ideas. We just lost our program. We just
I
lost our
have a
program.
lot. I have a big library of ideas, so
Wonderful. Well, we just lost our program chair.
uh,
So yeah. So we we appreciate the volunteers we have. So everyone that out there volunteers, thank you very much. Thanks for coming this evening, Dan. It was good to have you join us, and thank you, Rick, for joining us from the other room so I didn't get feedback. And Kathy, I'll send you Rick's number so your husband can give him a call for free t-shirts.
Okay, thanks.
And tell your husband that you need one too. Awesome. Oh, it was so good to see you all. I'm so excited. Now we talk about other stuff. I'm just kidding. Has anybody been ordering roses? So, and I'm planning on going, of course, to the Heritage Rose Foundation convention. So that
Kathy,
should be interesting.
sorry, I didn't
Go
mean
ahead.
to interrupt you, Sherry. Kathy, are you going to go to that?
I'm hoping to go to that unless something comes up to prevent me, but my plan is to be there.
Okay, great. Linda, you
The, th
should come to Texas for that.
the thought of the
yeah,
Heritage Rose Foundation was we had a big event last year in New York City that this year we should alternate it with events that are less expensive areas to cater to those that so other people could attend. Maybe they can't go to New York, but they go to Tyler, Texas.
yeah,
So they have a huge municipal rose garden. They have a big rose event every fall. They have a big rose center where they have meetings and events. And the extension agent for Master Gardener for that county is Greg Grant, who does a lot of writing and presentations and has written several books and one on the Texas Rose Rustlers.
oh yeah.
And
I
in
follow.
a
I've seen his work. Yeah, so
right. So in a corner of that garden, there is a small heritage rose garden. I don't think he was doing some independent gardening. I don't think the city liked it. And yeah. Um,
yeah. I'm
so
very busy with Master Gardener.